The second portion of this video presentation will show the proper disassembly and reassembly procedures for the gear case components. Drain plug. Drain oil and discard the oil. Remove cap screws from the gear case cover, then remove the cover. If the cover sticks, use a soft hammer to loosen it. Scrape the silicone sealant from the gear case and gear case cover. Remove the oil seal from the gear case cover with an arbor press or an appropriately sized tube and discard. Straighten the locking tabs on the lock washers. Prevent the shafts from turning by wedging a dowel or hardwood block in the rotors. To remove gear lock nuts, use the custom gear lock nut tool shown here, which is available through your distributor. You can also use a spanner wrench or drift. Gears will be removed later. Remove the front bearing retainer cap screws and pull off the retainer. Scrape the silicone sealant from the retainer and gear case. Place the housing in a hydraulic press with the fluid end down. See Table 4 in the maintenance manual for tons required. Protect the shaft ends with a wood or plastic block and press the shafts out of the gear case. Remove the gear spacer and gear keys. Now remove the timing gears. Then press out and discard the grease seals from the bearing retainers. If the shafts do not need to be replaced, label the shim stock according to the shaft it came from. Use drive shaft or short shaft on your label. This will eliminate recalculation of shim requirement. Press out and discard both of the rear oil seals in the gear case. Use a hydraulic press and V-blocks to remove the front and rear bearings and bearing spacers from the shafts. See Table 4 in the maintenance manual for tonnage required. Protect both ends of the shafts from damage. A hydraulic press with the fluid end down. Coat the front bearing area of the shaft with microplate number 555 grease. Unwrap the front bearing assemblies. Take care not to interchange the parts of one bearing assembly with another. These parts are precisely matched in manufacture and must be installed as matched assemblies. Lift the cone and roller assembly out of the bearing stack and place it on the shaft with the radius down. In all cases, when pressing bearings onto the shaft, press only on the inner diameter or bearing race. Make sure you have the proper size driving tube. You may need several sizes for the different bearings. Press the cone and roller assembly onto the shaft until it is seated against the shaft shoulder. Again, refer to Table 4 in the manual for tons required. Place the front inner bearing spacer over the shaft onto the bearing cone. Place the lower bearing cup over the lower cone and roller assembly. Keep the cup oriented with the proper roller assembly. Place outer bearing spacer on top of that lower cup. Then place upper cup on top of the outer spacer. Coat the inside diameter of the remaining bearing cone and roller assembly with microplate number 555 grease and slip it over the shaft with the roller radius up. Press onto the shaft and into the cup to complete assembly of the front bearing. Make sure all components are aligned before you press, and press only on the inner cone assembly. We've just assembled a 6-piece front bearing assembly. Some pump models utilize a 4-piece front bearing assembly, such as this. Install the bearing spacer. Unwrap the rear bearing assembly. Some larger pump models have a multi-component tapered roller bearing assembly, similar to the front bearing assembly shown earlier. For single-piece bearings, the shielded side fits against the bearing spacer. Again, always press on the inner diameter or bearing race. Check Table 4 for the proper hydraulic press tonnage. Install gear spacers and gear keys. Carefully tap keys in. Leave a slight angle on the key, as shown, to aid in assembling the gear onto the shaft. When you follow the procedures we've just covered, your Universal 2 Series pumps will provide long, trouble-free service